Okay, I call this meeting to order for the Finance Committee. Madam Chairman, please call the roll.
Mr. Smith.
Here.
Ms. Tanner.
Here.
Mr. Burke.
Here.
Mr. Bender. Mr. Corbin.
Here.
And Mr. Strickland.
Here.
Thank
We have a
you.
quorum.
Thank you so much. First up is the review of the monthly finance report. Annie?
All right, so we got something a little different this time. We're going to see how it goes. I have prepared some PowerPoint slides, so I don't know what we need to do to get those on the screen. Okay, there we go. I have no cartoons. Should I have put cartoons? Okay. I should. Okay. I'm so sorry. There are no cartoons this time. All right. There will be cartoons next time if you enjoy the slides, if this goes well. I just figured not everybody has the reports, so this would be beneficial to the audience. Okay, so we're going to go through the monthly reports, the sales tax collections for Sales Tax District 3 and the Highway 21 Economic Development District, the actuals through August and the prior 3 fiscal years. Then we're going to take a look at the operating and grant funds as well as the projected fund balance. For the fiscal year. We've added that this time around. That's something that Mr. Corbin had asked for. And then the budget to actual comparison as of September 30th. We are 3/4 of the way through the year, or 75% complete. And then we'll take a look through the agenda items. Okay, up. All right, so sales tax collections for Sales Tax District 3 continue to be strong. We have collected $6.5 million for the month of August for the Sales Tax District 3. That's about 4% above the 2024 collections, and that's about average for where we're at for overall for collections as for 2025 compared to 2024 year to date. Our budget for this year for 2025 was about $76 million, which is what we collected last year. So we're anticipating that the actual collections cash that'll come to the parish is about $80 million for this year. So we think we're going to be about $4 million above budget based on the way that collections have been coming in year to date. Is there any questions on the sales tax collections for Sales Tax District 3?
Oh,
yeah.
Mr. Smith?
Press it again, please. Press your button again.
Not a question, but a comment. And this is based on the public, some of my constituents specifically. Asking the question, when you look at these numbers and we're projecting, $80 million of revenue by the end of 25. This is restricted money. This isn't money that's available. This isn't general fund dollars that administration and council can decide as to how we would like to best utilize these dollars. These are restricted dollars. So when people see these $80 million in a fund, understand that that's dedicated funds to roads, to bridges, to drainage. That's all. It's more of a comment, obviously.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. That's correct. That is what the taxpayers authorize us to spend the funds on, and so that is what we have to remember every day as we are working on projects, approving invoices, requisitioning funds to be expended. And so every dollar that we spend has to be within the provisions of what the taxpayers authorized on the tax proposition. All right. So then the next report and the slide is for sales tax collections for Highway 21 EDD for the actual through August of 2025. The actual in August was for $120,000. This is the last month before, when you compare it back to last year, before Costco started having sales. So next month will look a lot more consistent with the prior year. So if you take a look at it, you'll see that the beginning of this year, the first 8 months, look really, really high compared to all of the other months in prior years, and that's because we've had the sales from Costco. So we really expect September through December to be in that $120,000 to $140,000 range for the remainder of the year, and that we'll collect somewhere around $1.4 million. Our budget was in the $900,000 range, so we also expect this to be about $400,000 above budget when all is said and done for the year. Once again, to the council members' point, these are restricted funds, so they have to be spent in accordance with state law, since this is an economic development district, and it can only be spent on things that are in accordance with state law for an economic development project. Are there any questions on the sales tax for Highway 21? Okay. I wanted to show you, this isn't in the monthly report package, but I just wanted to let you know that we received the official grand recap during the month, and I wanted to let you know what the grand recap said the taxes would are projected to be for each one of the millages that we have, as well as what we expect to collect based on that and how that aligns with our budget for 2025. And so we're actually right in line with that. So based on the grand recap, for instance, our general fund receives what's called the alimony tax. And so the grand recap has the tax at about $7.9 million. From that, we expect to collect about 95% from December through March. And so that's about $7.5 million. And that's what we budgeted to receive in revenue and report in revenue for 2025. So we're right on the money then with that collection and that figure. We did receive, of course, back taxes during this fiscal year 2025 from the 2024 collections of about 3%. So when you look at budget to actual in our report, it'll look like we're over budget in a sense because of those back taxes that we collected during the year. And so that'll be the case for any of the taxes ad valorem that you look at on the budget to actual report, because we've collected those back taxes from the prior fiscal year. So I just wanted to give you a heads up on that so you can take a look at what the grand recap says and how we're doing on budget to actual for the projected ad valorem taxes that'll come in at the end of the year and early next year. Is there any questions on this? Okay. All right. So one of the things with the fund balance report this time around, we went through and took a look at the revenues and expenditures, where we were at year to date and what the projection was for the remainder of the year. For the revenues, we went and looked at what we had received to date month by month. And then for the expenditures, we looked at what the departments were estimating they needed to expend for the remainder of the year based on what they submitted for the 2026 budget in order to get an estimate of where we thought we would end the fiscal year at for 2025. So for the general fund, you can see that I think we're right on target with where we need to be based on some previous conversations we've had. We think that for the revenues, we project to be a little under budget for the off-track wagering, because the off-track betting, we no longer receive that. Rental income, the tenant left from the Bush Community Center, and then cable franchise fees and PEG fees are down, which I had mentioned last month. And I have a table there for you just to kind of show you how, they've been trending down over time as people move to streaming services. And so even though those things are going to be down, overall general fund revenue will still increase in total because we expect ad valorem taxes to be over budget. Interest income will be, we expect that to come in over. The sports wagering local allocation, which is from the online betting, we expect that to come in over, as well as the court fines that we receive from the city court in Slidell. So, and then we have a list there for you for the revenues that we're still pending to collect through the end of the year and early next year as well. Is there any questions on the general fund and the projection for the rest of the year? Okay.
Oh, Mr. Bender?
Yes. Thank you, Madam Chair. Just for the members of the council that are here, one of the things with the cable franchise fees that we were really hit with, and Rick, you may have been on the Covington Council at this time as well. I can't remember exactly how many years ago it was, but you see the cable franchise fees, AT&T came in with their UVerse, okay? But they went to the state, unlike the other cable franchisor, they went to the state and said, we don't want to deal with 64 different parishes. And state government ruled that they would give AT&T an exception, okay? So guess what? All of the, I don't know about everybody else's neighborhoods, but UVerse came in all my neighborhoods, all of my council district, and you know what? Zero. So I just wanted to make the council aware. This could be better, and I understand the aggravation with dealing with 64 different parishes, but hey, we're the ones that have to deal with it. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
All right.
Penny?
Thank you for the information, Mr. Bender.
Yes, ma'am.
So our special revenue funds, once again, with these on the screen here, some of our major special revenue funds, they all appear to be on target as well for our projected revenues and expenditures. For Public Works, our revenues that are under budget are very small. Some permit fees for the coastal zone and timber severance, which are more than outweighed by the revenues we project over budget, which are our sales tax and our interest income. We still have, some good revenues that we have to collect at the end of the year. Drainage maintenance ad valorem, same thing with animal services. And we continue to collect sales taxes for Public Works and Highway 21 EDD. Animal services, we do expect some of the licenses, permits, and fees to come in under budget, but the ad valorem is going to come in at budget, and then we are collecting all those back taxes as well. So we expect each one of these funds to basically be where we need it in order to meet our targets for this year. The next slide for the special revenue funds includes the lighting districts and some of the other special revenue funds. With the lighting districts, we will need to present to you a budget amendment at the December agenda. For the December agenda, the revenues for interest income there are not meeting the budget, and those are for the smaller lighting districts and for the ones where they only have interest income as a revenue. They have depleting fund balances, and so the budgeted interest income for this year was higher than what we're generating on those funds as the fund balances are going down. So we have enough revenues to cover our expenditures, but we're just not going to make that that 95% that we need to be in compliance with state law for the budget law on about 4 of the lighting districts. It's the ones without an active tax. Culture, recreation, and tourism is funded by the hotel motel tax. We believe that's going to come in over budget based on the prior few years. We've been getting more than what we have historically. We're still waiting on the 3rd and 4th quarter for those taxes. So we should be getting the 3rd quarter any day now in order to validate that. Environmental services, looks good as well. We get the franchise fees there quarterly, so we're still, waiting for 3rd and 4th quarters on it. We do expect the assessment fees and the franchise fees there to come in over budget, and so we should be fine there. The last few funds there are judicial funds that we hold on behalf of the court system. I need to get with the DA and the judges to review the criminal court fund with them to see where we think we're going to wind up on with the fines and costs, to see if we'll be in the 95% range for that as well. Is there any questions on the previous slide for the special revenue funds or this slide?
Mr. Corbett?
Yes, Andy, thank you very much. Thank you, Chairwoman. Can you explain, just provide a little more context of what the 95% means?
Sure.
So that everybody appreciates that?
Yeah, so state law requires that when we're required to adopt a budget for the general fund and for all special revenue funds. And during the year, if we see any changes in operations or other indications that we are not going to get, that we're not going to be within 5% of revenues, or we're going to exceed expenditures by 5%, then we are required to amend our budgets. So that's what we're taking a look at here, is how close are we going to be to getting to 95% of the revenue, or possibly overexpending the expenditure budgets.
Andy, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Mr. Bender.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Annie, how long have you been with parish government?
11 and a half years.
Okay. So, Councilman Rick, help me with the verbiage on this, what you and I were talking about. When builders want to start building, okay? Impact fees, yes. And please add if after I finish, if you want to, okay? So Annie, when Kevin Davis was parish president, okay, he presented to the council, built the case, and went to the home builders with it and everything on these impact fees. My question is on that is, do they have a special revenue fund?
They have a capital projects fund, because the impact fees that we generate have to be spent on projects that improve either transportation or drainage.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Phillips.
Annie,
Yes, sir.
these impact fees, say the impact fees come from Mr. Smith or Mr. Bender's district or region, are they required to be spent there since the money is being collected for what's going on there?
So the impact fees have to be spent based on that urban growth boundary line. So if they are collected above the line, they have to be spent above the line for transportation. Drainage, I believe, does not have, Daniel, am I telling the truth?
And what were, oh, go ahead.
There's no distinction on drainage, just transportation. The transportation has to be spent above the urban growth boundary line if that's where it's collected, and below if that's where it's collected.
Okay, so it could be somebody paying impact fees on the west side below the boundary line doesn't mean that money that they're paying for those impact fees is going to be spent where they're developing. It could go over to the east side.
That is correct. And for the transportation, there's actually a list of approved roadways, and it can only be spent on those roadways.
And when you say they're required to, what requires them to be spent like that? Is that the parish or is it the state?
It's in the Code of Ordinances.
Okay, so that's something maybe we could look at, or if we had to?
Yeah,
Okay.
we can go over it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Annie.
All right. Debt service funds, we have 2 active debt service funds, Sales Tax District 3. We have 1 remaining payment this year on it for interest. And then Gomesa, we still have to pay the principal and interest payment this year in November. And then also there will be a turbo redemption payment in November, and we'll receive some residual funds, a few $100,000 that we'll be able to transfer to capital that we'll be able to use for additional capital projects for Gomesa, waterways, things like that. The enterprise funds, utility operations and development, utility operations, projecting over budget for residential water, late fees, tap fees, capacity fees, interest income. Septage looks like it'll be under budget, but that's pretty small overall in the grand scheme of things. We still have quite a few expenditures that we need to to make that'll have to carry over to next year, as far as the Goodby wastewater treatment plant, how we had gotten that $7 million loan from DEQ, because that's a multi-year project, as well as some of the capital projects that we had being funded out of the utilities operations budget. And then development, we're projected under budget for residential permits and subdivision fees, but we're projecting to be over budget on the commercial permit side. Any questions? All right, and then our last group of funds is the internal service funds, which are our building funds and the risk funds. And for the most part, all of those are, the revenues are projected on budget, on target. The interest income is a little low in Tyler Street, and that's because we have a declining fund balance there from some of the capital projects like the roof that we had completed, and then the rental income for Safe Haven is a little under budget due to Florida parishes decreasing their space. And then we still have some expenditures pending at Coop for the stairs and the chiller that need to be taken for the remainder of the year.
Any questions? Thank you, Annie.
You're welcome.
Okay, next is our ordinances for introduction. Ordinance calendar number 7987, ordinance to amend the 2025 operating budget, amendment number 17.
All right, so this ordinance for the 2025 operating budget, Amendment 17, is for two funds. The first fund is for animal services, and this is to amend the budget for the animal services complex HVAC project. This is to work on the HVAC system, and design is expected to be completed by the end of this year, early next year, with construction thereafter. This is for $68,000. The total project budget after that will be $428,000. Capital outlay is funding $270,000, though, of that total project. And there is also a companion ordinance to this, capital improvement budget amendment number 29. The second fund on this operating budget amendment is the coroner's fund. We are proposing to decrease the revenue budget by $14,322,276 from the contribution from them back to us, as those funds are currently in litigation. We are also therefore decreasing the expenditure budget by $6.8 million, because we would not be distributing any funds back to them as our component unit, once again due to the litigation. We are budgeting, though, to increase the revenue budget by about $400,000 for those back taxes that we received during this year from the fiscal year 2024 ad valorem, as well as an increase in the interest earnings since we have this cash remaining on hand.
Any questions? Ordinance calendar number 7988, ordinance to amend the 2025 capital.
You have a speaker card on the last one.
Oh, I'm sorry. A speaker card. Mr. Michael Henderson, you would like to speak? You have 3 minutes. Please state your name.
Michael Henderson. This ordinance that is being proposed illustrates perfectly what I was alluding to earlier about the minimum fund balance. The Animal Service Fund has a beginning fund balance of $4 million, a minimum fund balance by policy of the council of $3,400,000 some odd dollars. And that total year expenditure is $3.6 million. So the ad valorem taxes that are due in December 31, I was just heard coming in January. So the funding, actual cash, will be in January. You don't have to wait till December of next year. Also, the fund balance represents what net assets are, which is equivalent to your net worth. Assets minus liabilities. Like if your personal car, house, bank account, minus your mortgage and amounts to what is your equity, what is your net worth. So net assets is that. So at year end, there's enough net assets, and the cash balance at year end for the end of 24 was like 300 million plus. The current ratio was 3.9, like twice the amount of a strong position. So there's plenty of cash available to fund these. So I would recommend voting against this and fund the improvements, at least the 68,000 from the fund balance. Of course, I know you have a policy for minimum fund, and so it would mean amending the minimum fund policy. And in my remaining time, I would make an analogy more to your emergency fund on a personal basis for your minimum fund, like it's recommended by financial consultants to have 3 to 6 months of emergency in case you lose your job. The parish is not going to lose its job. The recommendation at a minimum maybe 2 months of revenues or expenditures. That's from the GFOA, the same entity that certified that you achieved financial excellence in your annual report. The same report in which Mr. Cooper and Ms. Perkins signed, verifying that unrestricted net assets was 78 million, which I mentioned in a previous public comment, but apparently was not understood. I'm not talking about available funds. I'm talking about unrestricted fund balance. Wanted to make that clear. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Okay, we're on the second ordinance. Okay, Annie. Ordinance calendar number 7988, ordinance to amend the 2025 capital improvement budget and capital assets, amendment number 27, sales tax district 3 capital projects. Mr. Smith, that you?
Back up a second.
Okay.
If I could ask Ms. Perkins to comment on this gentleman's numbers that he was sharing with us and his concept as to how this budget works. Would you like to make a rebuttal to what he just said, please?
Yes, I will. So the minimum fund balance there for the 1 year of gross revenue, I once again, to try to explain that $3.4 million there is budgeted in the current year revenues that are shown at the top of the schedule, that $3 million in the ad valorem tax and the other revenues of $400,000. I don't get that money until January of 26. So I don't have the cash there. And when it says beginning fund balance, $4.2 million, that's not all cash. So when you go to the actual budget to actual reports and look at actual year to date, my actual revenue collected this year so far in animal services is $200,000. My actual expenditures year to date are $2.4 million. So I have spent $2 million more this year in animal services than I had in revenues. So I had to have that fund balance to cover those expenses because I will not get my ad valorem money until January in order to cover those expenses. So that's why I need the minimum fund balance. Going to the GASB and their the GFOA and the minimum fund balance policy. Yes, while they may say that 2 to 3 months of revenue is good, their policy that they have issued on a minimum fund balance also states that it is up to the government to review their minimum fund balance policies and adjust them as they see fit based on their circumstances and the necessary environment in which they operate. And therefore, based on our ad valorem and the cash collections, we adjust that policy as necessary. And you will see that each one of our funds is based on a cash flow policy. We don't base it on anything other than that because we have to have the cash to pay the bills. This is a cash basis fund. So when you look at fund balance, this is based on cash and receivables. It is not net assets. It does not include any kind of assets that are physical in nature, not capital assets. So this does not include and I know this is getting detailed and complex and may not make sense to everyone, but I would just want to address the concept of net assets and that he's saying it includes things like, and it does in some of the financial reports he's referencing, but this here does not include capital and equipment and things like that. So I need that for the purpose of this budgetary presentation. I have to show that I need this minimum fund balance policy reserved. Otherwise, I would just say that my revenues are zero for the year because I'm not getting the, I'm sorry, am I going on too, okay.
No, you're fine.
My revenues are zero because are $200,000 because that's what I've gotten this year. And I wouldn't have a minimum fund balance policy. That'd be fine because I'm not going to have any cash or revenues during the year except for the $200,000. So that's another way I could work it, but that wouldn't be appropriate from an accounting perspective. Okay, that's all I'm going to say. I'm done.
Thank you, Annie. Appreciate it. Mr. Carver?
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Andy, I think you addressed my question. I was just going to say that really is a cash plus receivables. It has
Yes.
nothing to do with equipment, buildings,
Right.
any other capital assets. It's cash plus receivables that you already know you're going to get, but they're not going to come to the future.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mr.
Thank you.
Bender?
Hello? Hello? Oh. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm getting my own self laughing here, I'm sorry. My friend Councilman Smith has tagged me with tapping 3 times. So Annie, just real quick, correct me if I'm wrong, what Mr. Henderson said, that we don't have to wait till December to receive our revenue from the sheriff, okay? But to say that we receive it all in January, that would infer that every single person pays before the due date, okay? In fact, doesn't the sheriff receive some of our revenue into February, March, and April?
Yes, we even receive payments all the way until November. I mean, we collect back taxes sometimes years after the fact. So that's what I was alluding to earlier when I said, revenues are over budget because of back taxes. So this year in the general fund, for instance, we've collected $200,000 in back taxes because people have paid from, taxes that they owed from a prior year.
Thank you. If you mentioned back taxes before, I apologize.
That's also okay.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, put one in mine. I think we're on 7988.
Yes. So 7988 is capital amendment number 27 for Sales Tax District 3, and it includes a number of projects. The first project is Carroll Road for $140,000. Carroll Road's a 1.26-mile major connector road between 433 and US 190. This project intends to implement roadway improvements recommended by a corridor evaluation completed in 2023. This recommended improvements at Preacher's Oak Lane intersection, Carolyn Park Access West Drive intersections, Garden Drive, and Hall Avenue intersections. The evaluation also recommended the closure of several open ditches, widening of the roadway, and a southbound right turn lane at LA 433. Engineering is in the process of requesting NORPC to program the project for federal aid. The total project budget is $798,000. The second project is Casserole Drive drainage for $1,211,000. Design has been completed, and this request is to proceed with construction of drainage improvements along Casserole Drive from Sowell Drive to LA 59. The improvements will include replacement of driveway culverts, some subsurfacing of open ditch, roadside ditch improvements, and replacement of cross culverts. Due to the drainage work, the road will also need to be milled and overlaid after the work is complete. The total project budget is $2,111,000. Harrison Avenue drainage is the third project on this list for $1,045,000. This project includes improvements to major drainage crossings on Harrison Avenue and currently focuses on the crossing located at Harrison Avenue and C Street, which has a large catch basin condensing down to smaller cross drain pipes, causing inefficiencies and constant maintenance. This project could expand in the future as additional crossings are identified. This budget request is for specialty services that will be needed for the in-house design. The total project budget is $1.1 million. The next project is Harrison Avenue Mill and Overlay, and this is to reduce the project budget by $1,095,000. The project consists of a mill and overlay with patching on Harrison Avenue between I Street and LA 59. And it's a phased corridor project scheduled for construction between late 2026 and 2027. We're able to reduce the project budget because the bids for construction came in much lower than estimated. But this will allow us to fund the amendment and, this amendment will allow us to fund the construction and have some contingency in case it's needed. The next project is Lakeview Drive. This is also a reduction for $100,000 since the bids came in lower than estimated. This is construction for mill, overlay, patching, and striping. The total project budget is $1.1 million. The next project is Minegra Road. This is to reauthorize the project budget and revise the scope to utilize the existing funding for culvert replacements. The project budget is $250,000. The next project is North Shore Circle Drainage. This is a reduction of $200,000. Once again, the construction bids came in lower than estimated, and this is for mill, overlay, patching, and striping. The total project budget is $650,000. The next to last project on the list is Oak Harbor Boulevard. This is a reduction of $170,000, and this is to reauthorize the project budget, revise the scope, and amend the existing work to allow for general road and drainage maintenance. The total project budget after reduction is $80,000. The last project on this list is for US 190 North Pontchartrain Drive turn lane for $95,000. The recently completed traffic study conducted for the intersection determined the left turn lane off of eastbound US 190 and a right turn lane off of westbound were warranted in accordance with DOTD guidelines. The budget request is for additional funding to complete the design of the turn lanes. The total project budget with this addition is $345,000.
Any questions? Okay. Mr. Bender.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Annie, real quickly, I didn't fully understand on Oak Harbor Boulevard. I understand the negative 170,000. Okay, and you made a statement regarding generally where those funds will be going. Okay, am I accurate on that? Mm-hmm. As I recall, this was going to be turn lanes on Oak Harbor Boulevard, and we're moving them to somewhere else, and I'm fully aware of it. But what was the comment about $80,000?
This will leave us $80,000 at Oak Harbor Boulevard to do some general maintenance and drainage work there at Oak Harbor Boulevard. We're not going to do the turn lanes anymore,
right?
But we're going to do some road work.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay. Ordinance calendar number 7989, ordinance to amend the 2025 capital improvement budget and capital assets, amendment number 28, coastal restoration capital projects.
All right, so capital amendment 28 for coastal restoration includes two projects. The first is for Car Drive hydrology restoration for $300,000. This amendment is to complete project construction. The continuation of this project involves dredging and restoration of the drainage canal, beneficial use of dredged material, habitat enhancement, coastal resilience, and permitting and compliance. The total project budget is $800,000. This includes $250,000 from the State Treasury Fund, as well as $500,000 total from GOMESA funds. The second project is Program Management Phase 2 for $100,000. This amendment is being requested to coordinate funds with CPRA, align with the state's coastal master plan, and engage with the legislature for funding and approvals. This will also support the levy board and help meeting local obligations. The funding is needed for state and local program management to complete federal efforts and ensuring projects are state-aligned, local managed, and community supported. The total project budget, once amended, is $200,000, all funded by GOMESA.
Any questions? Our next one is ordinance calendar number 7990, ordinance to amend the 2025 capital improvement budget and capital assets, amendment number 29, animal service capital projects.
So Capital Amendment number 29 for Animal Services is the companion ordinance to Operating Budget Amendment number 17 for Animal Services for the HVAC system. And this is the $68,000 that's additionally needed for the design and construction to bring the HVAC system up to standards. This is expected to be completed during 2026. The total project budget is $428,000 once amended. The funding is $270,000 from capital outlay and $158,000 from the Animal Services ad valorem tax.
Mr. Smith?
Is this a replacement, a complete replacement of that system?
Rob?
Yes.
You could have given me the thumbs up.
The systems are 18 years old. They were installed in 2007. We've been fighting all kind of issues with them for many, many years. This is a complete replacement, metal insulated with an, it's got a, well, theoretically, the design will be metal tubing with insulation in between, and then circular metal tubing encasing that. We've had a lot of issues with
Right.
rats and stuff like that too, so.
Thank you, Rob.
Yes.
Annie, what was the 68 was for what, design, did you say?
No, it's for design and construction. So the total cost we expect is $428,000, and that includes contingency in case we have any unforeseen.
428,000 for the whole?
For the whole thing.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. The last ordinance is ordinance calendar number 7991, ordinance to amend the 2025 grant budget amendment number 10.
So the ordinance to amend the grants budget amendment number 10 includes 2 grants. The first one is for a local coastal zone program, fiscal years 25 through 2028, for $185,478. This is a grant award received for local coastal zone program implementation. The grant award is $92,739 with a 100% required in-kind match of that same dollar amount, $92,739, which is funded by salaries and benefits in kind from grant staff in the general fund and staff in the funded by Public Works. The second grant is the Best Friends Animal Society grant for $10,000, and these are additional funds from Best Friends received for life-saving purposes as part of the No Kill 2025 vision. The total award we've received from them is $19,000.
Any questions? Okay, do I hear a motion to submit to the full council ordinance calendar number 7987, 7988, 7989, 7990, and 7991. I need a motion. Ms. Corbett and Mr. Strickland. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Do I hear a motion to, oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Corbett.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Annie, I want to thank you very much for this PowerPoint presentation. Very, very well organized. I know we have the numbers embedded in those other documents, but the way you've organized it and formatted it and delivered it, I think will be very, very helpful both to the council as well as the public to better understand what's going on. So thank you very much for taking that as a new initiative. I'd encourage you to continue.
Okay, thank you. You're welcome.
I agree. Thank you, Annie.
You're welcome.
And for all your comments today with the budget.
Thank you.
Do I hear a motion to adjourn? We are adjourned.